Everyone, welcome to another webinar with Wes. Today is the 5th of March 2024, and we are going to talk about Mastodon for beginners. And I am super excited about this session because I absolutely love Mastodon. And so it is one of several different social media platforms that I'm using, especially now that I did leave Twitter. And so what I'd like to talk about tonight is, if I can make my slideshow big, what Mastodon is and why you might want to consider using it. There are a bunch of choices when it comes to social media platforms today, and I'm definitely somebody who's using a number of them, and I'm kind of hedging my bets, right? Because we don't know exactly, is there going to be something that's going to be the next Twitter? And I don't think there is going to be in the real near term. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a little bit about the Fediverse. I'm going to talk about the web view of Mastodon and talk about lists, which are absolutely one of my favorite things. And then we'll talk about the iOS view. And I love using Flipboard. Flipboard is one of my favorite apps that I've had on my iPhone and my iPad for years and years. And Flipboard has embraced the Fediverse. And so the lists that you create can be shared in viewed in Flipboard, which is just absolutely wonderful. But I definitely would love to answer any questions that you have. And I'll try to do those as we go along. I'm going to have to pop down to look at the chat, which is sometimes not always possible to do, but I'm going to try to go to the end. So our goal is a 30-minute webinar. As I have done with my other webinars, I have created a web page link that is going to stay viewable publicly for anybody who's interested. And so I'm going to drop that link into the chat. This web page has the slideshow, which this is a very limited slideshow tonight, but it's got the referenced links that I'm going to be talking about. And I will probably add some links to this as well. And that's our plan. So let's talk a little bit about what Mastodon is and why you might want to use it. The first link that I put here on the webinars for Wes page for tonight's webinar, I called Meet Me on Mastodon, my Dear John letter to Twitter. And I actually recorded a video version of this, which incidentally was a ChatGPT DALL-E 3 creation. It is so fascinating to me, and I'm going to do more webinars specific to generative AI and especially around image visualization. It's absolutely fascinating to me to see the kinds of images that ChatGPT and DALL-E and these large language models will come up with, but also the way that we can interact with them. And so I was trying to show the death of Twitter and this brave, exciting new day with Mastodon. I think I ended up actually putting the little icon of Mastodon on there. It got the Twitter, birds, but anyway, it's just a visualization. But what I said in this blog post and video was that I've got to leave Twitter. And I still have my Twitter account. In fact, I have a bunch of Twitter accounts. At some point, people laughed, ooh, that's not my account. There I am. At some point, people thought, hey, it was great to have a lot of email addresses. And then people realized, well, that's kind of a nightmare. And I've sort of collected over the years Twitter accounts, but I've absolutely loved Twitter. My last post that I put on Twitter was this one on November 20th. And the reason I really left Twitter is because it's just become an absolute dumpster fire where it is not, the content there is not moderated. Many folks, oh, and Carlos has a question. Sure, Carlos. I guess, can you see if you can go ahead and put your question in chat? And I'll try to answer it that way. I think I could actually put you on screen, but I'm not sure. I haven't met you before. And go ahead and put your question, if you would, into chat, and let me see if I can field it that way. This is so fun. There we go. But I'm excited that we've got multiple folks here. So just go ahead and type your question in, and I'll try to field it in just a minute. So anyway, okay, are you trolling me here? I'm not sure. What do you mean by "do you ever goon"? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Go ahead and explain that a little bit more. I'm not familiar with that term. One of the things that I absolutely love the most about Twitter were Twitter lists, and I spent literally hundreds and hundreds of hours since getting on Twitter in 2007, and I left in November of 2013, curating these lists. And some of these I didn't really visit that much, but some I did all the time. I loved the publication GigaOM, and when GigaOM broke up, I created a Twitter list of those journalists, and so I was able to still follow the things that these journalists were writing and sharing, even though they were no longer, working for that publication. I still use this term, Yodas. In fact, Ryan is one of my Yodas because he's a Jedi Knight of educational technology. And Julie, if you don't follow Ryan Collins, I can share his contact info, or he can put it in there for you. But just like some people who I really, really want to follow a lot. There's like 90 of these. But this would be a Twitter list that I would go to. And instead of like an algorithmic feed of just seeing content that Elon and whoever's working for him wants me to see in my home feed, and yes, you could have, in Twitter, they did allow you, and they do, I think, still allow you to turn that off. This is a chronological feed of the 90 people that are on that list. Now, I still mourn, not daily, but I still mourn not being able to have that access because everybody is not on Mastodon. But the fact that so many, anti-Semitic and white supremacist folks have been replatformed, and many people have been, subjected to horrific harassment, it just got to the point where I couldn't continue to be on Twitter. So, wow, okay. All right, so hang on just a second. And okay, oh man, that was weird. You never know who you're going to have when you show up for a free webinar. So that's probably why it's nice not to just give them the screen and let them, talk. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's talk about Mastodon. So the second link, I guess, that I put on here is my after page. I still don't know how I got invited to go here, but I, along with Gary Stager and a few other folks, got invited to go to Egypt to present at a conference that was absolutely wonderful in Cairo, probably 6 years ago or something like that. And the presenter did this. They had a page on their homepage /after, and it had all the links to their stuff. And so I went ahead and started to do this. And so you can get to my Substack and conference presentations. But then this is where you'll start to see the social media stuff, right? So here's YouTube, here's Facebook, here's Instagram, here's, this is just my cooking stuff. But up here at the top, these links, I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in here. These are some of my primary social media platforms today. And here is Mastodon. Now, WordPress does not support, for some reason, the social links for Blue Sky and K-12 Leaders. I'm not surprised about K-12 Leaders, but I would expect Blue Sky. But they support Threads, which is the Meta-owned Twitter-like client or platform. And then, Flickr and all of these other things. I want to give a sort of a shout out to myself to a presentation that is just open out there from this, I guess, last summer, July of 2023, called Social Media Diversification. And I'm not going to go through all the slides for this, but I really think when it comes to social media, and this is applicable to Mastodon and, Facebook and all of these different tools, it is valuable to invest and diversify right now so that we can have this creative and rewarding ideological return. What does that mean? Well, I have benefited so much from the generous sharing of other people over the years. I started blogging in 2003 and set up my podcast and Speed of Creativity in like 2005. I'm a very old guy now at 53. And so I just really am thankful for so many folks who have shared things, and I like to continue contributing and sharing, and I want to be on platforms where other people are sharing ideas and I can hang out with their brains. And that's basically a way that I think about social media. And so at this time, I was kind of calling Mastodon the new platform, and I was using this tool, this was last summer, called Toot, because, Mastodon, you don't share tweets, you share toots. And so these were 4 of the new platforms that I was using, and I was calling Facebook and Instagram, and these other ones legacy ones. I'll include the link to that slideshow as well as that video if you'd like to check that out. Well, let me show you Mastodon online, and then I'm going to flip over to my iPhone and show you some of my favorite Mastodon apps and how I'm using Mastodon there. And I'll also show you something called my social media text prepper, and what that is, there are different length limits to these different platforms, and so I've actually, this is with the help of AI and ChatGPT, coded a JavaScript program that's even on GitHub that lets me take a longer passage that I want to share and make it into threads that'll post there. Okay, so we are on the instance that I am using for Mastodon. Right out of the gate, one of the confusing things about Mastodon is that there's not like a single place to sign up. And so I guess maybe I need to look at this on an incognito where I'm not signed in. Different people run different instances. So this is mastodon.cloud, and actually it's a little dangerous because I have no idea what we're going to see, looking at the feed of this instance. There are some educational instances, and the one that we use for the usually Wednesday night podcast, the EdTech Situation Room, is mastodon.education. And this is part of the Fediverse. And the Fediverse is an open standards-based social media microblogging platform. But it's more than that because it allows data portability and it allows for identity control in ways that we don't have with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and these other platforms. So you might want to, as an educator, set up an instance on mastodon.education. In my experience, it is free to set these up. That was actually a Ryan Collins post there. Look at that. Hey, you can add me as a co-host. Oh, you can moderate the chat. How cool is that? All right, look at that. And he gave it. Okay, so I don't know if I can actually do that through promote to panelist. There you go. Okay, I'm going to put you on as panelist. I don't know, Ryan, and I'll allow you to talk. I don't know. Maybe that, yeah, you can choose to share your screen or not. That's awesome that you can help out with the chat. Okay. So very Twitter-like here. And as I look at my feed, okay, so I've got a banner header image here. I've got a main profile image, just like you would do with Twitter. I have a bio that I've put in here with hashtags. And so you can, click on those hashtags. And for instance, EdTechSR is the hashtag that I use for all of the articles and things that I find relating to the educational technology news podcast that I do on Wednesdays with Jason Neiffer. All that stuff is at the top. Now here's where this is a little bit different. You can now buy a check mark with Twitter, right? Anybody can buy a check mark. With Mastodon, you have to verify your ownership of a website that you want to link. And so I have verified the ownership that I have, and there's some different ways to do this, and it's a little geeky, but I've verified that so there's a check mark saying that this website, wesfryer.com, is owned by the person who is operating this Mastodon account. Unlike Twitter that just lets you pin one post to the top of your feed, you can pin multiple posts. And so I am now writing on about a monthly basis a Substack newsletter, which I love. Ryan's, by the way. There's always just really great educational technology, nuggets and tools and things like that. And so I have that pinned at the top, but I also have something about my webinars, and then I've been keeping this Google Doc with all this detail of these AI experiments that I've been doing. I've got that stuff pinned at the top. And then I have the chronological feed, and you can see that it says here 2 of 2. So my wife and I voted today in our Super Tuesday primary election here in North Carolina. And there's the first of 2 posts, and then here's the second one. So when I click on the time of that, I can actually see that thread. And I'm probably going to do a whole separate session just on threaded, threaded posts on social media. And I might as well just, mention this really quick. So I here's what I did tonight. I wrote this post in Apple Notes, and I, back in the day used Evernote, and I've, used different tools. Right now I just use the Notes app because it's on my laptop, it's on my iPhone, it synchronizes together. And here's the website. I'll put this link on the text prep. I'll put this, that's the wrong link. I'll put this on our website. Yes, here is the little small JavaScript that I have. This is so cool. So I'm going to paste in all that text that I had written, and I can choose right here, what social media platform am I going to post to? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, K-12 Leaders, because these have different limits. I think Mastodon and Threads are both like maybe 600 characters, and Blue Sky is 250. Twitter's like 240. And so when I click on Mastodon, and this works great on the iPhone, I now have that block of text broken up into threads with a 1 of 2, 2 of 2, or 1 of 4, 2 of 4, whatever it is. And then if I'd want to add tags that I didn't put in, I usually just put them in at the bottom. I can go ahead and do that. So anyway, that is part of my workflow. And what I want to point out, similar to Twitter, over on the right, I've got notifications. So I can see, yes, the serendipity. So I can see that Ryan has sent me a couple replies that are publicly visible. You can direct message people on Mastodon as you can Twitter. You can't do that, interestingly, on Blue Sky, and I'll have to be careful. I'll probably do a separate one on Blue Sky and a separate one on Threads. But here's what I'm so excited about. Well, okay, before I show you this. Here, and Ryan, feel free to introduce me and interject anything, and if we've got a question. What's that?
That one about co-hosting was only sent to you.
Oh, it was. There
you can tell because that little retweet thing is grayed out.
Aha. All right.
Yeah, that's the only indicator that it's...
There you go. So it's here under...
By the 8-minute thing, it just has that act instead of a world, but it's hard to see.
Thank you. So Jason Neiffer and I, do our Wednesday night show, and we use Twitter all the time we use StreamYard, and so I would send him the StreamYard link. And you don't want to publicly send that because anybody can join your show. And it was weird the first few times using Mastodon. I think we've used Signal some, but because I was like, okay, am I direct messaging or is this going to be a public reply?
Yeah, it's really I think part of the reason is they want you to know that direct messages are not private. They don't want you to fall into that thinking
that's
the administrators can always see your direct messages.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And all what's encrypted, what's not, who gets to see it.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Hey, it is great to see you. I need to learn some of your tricks of the trade for your amazing studio, because I think you probably have the most amazing, broadcasting studio of anyone I personally know.
I don't know if you saw. I was cleaning up my table. I don't see myself here, so I don't know what you're seeing.
Yeah,
I
see
my table a little bit because it was a mess.
I see the table.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. So I think we got about the 30 minutes here goes by pretty quick, and I may need to break my things up a little more. But here, if I scroll down on my profile. Down here, and if I can get my Zoom thing to hide. Come on, hide here. How does this hide? Drag it over. Okay. Here in the bottom right corner, can you see that I zoomed in on that? Does my screen show a zoom, Ryan, or is it not zoomed?
It's not zooming.
It's not zooming. Okay, well, it's good to know, so I won't even mess with that. It shows that the hashtag I use the most is media lit, which is for media literacy. And so when I click on that, you can see this chronological feed of every post that I have shared. I guess it has my pinned post too, that use that hashtag. It is so powerful to use hashtags to organize information. And one of the ways that I use social media is, and Jason Neiffer did a session years ago at a conference, like about trapping information like a bear trap. But like, how do you trap information so you can go back to it later and find it? Well, one of the ways I do that is through social media. Okay, so here's one of the most exciting parts. It's lists, okay? And so here's my Yoda's list. I have recreated my Yoda's list here on Mastodon. And so again, like Twitter, I have a chronological feed of these different folks. Not all of these are ed tech folks, many of them are. But this is a filtered feed. And I regret that currently, and maybe you know a way to do this, Ryan, I can't make that public. One of the greatest things about Twitter lists was that those are public and anybody else could subscribe, and I would subscribe to other people's Twitter lists. My wife and I, here's a true sign of us getting older. We're starting to really enjoy watching birds. We've even gone to some bird classes at our local parks, Park and Rec, But anyway, here are some birders that I follow, So when I want to see the birders, I just go to that list. And so that is really fantastic. So that kind of covers maybe some of the highlights. There's a few other things, but you can also, I think, decide on your Mastodon profile the hashtags I think that you want to show up. I think you can set that, within preferences. And Mastodon instances are at different versions. And one of the wonderful things that you can do now, which you can't do on Twitter, is you can edit post. Now, I wonder if there's a time limit to that or something, because it looks like I can't do that one. But here's the one from tonight. So let me click on this and see. Yeah, I could go in and edit this. So if I had made a typo in this post, I could go in and edit it. And, with Twitter, I would have to just delete the post. But it's really awesome to be able to do that. Okay, what I'd like to do now is go ahead and flip over to my iPhone. And so one of the nice things that Apple started doing a while back was building in this native capability to be able to just screen share, I think, through continuity. So if you're logged into the same Apple ID on your iPhone as you are on your laptop, you're able to just share like you would to an Apple TV, which is awesome. It's only done this for about a year. Okay, here are the main apps that I use, and right there in the center you can see Ice Cubes and Mammoth. And so let me just go ahead and open up Ice Cubes, and what you're seeing right now are lists. And so I can go view my lists. If I want to go back to my Yoda's list here, I can see what those folks have been sharing. Here's my notifications. This is the most Twitter-like of the Mastodon apps that I found. I really like this one. I think I did actually pay for it, but it's well worth it. I love this one a lot. The same content that I was looking over on the web, but I'm seeing it here in the Ice Cubes app. Here's the reason I love Ice Cubes so much. I'm going to go ahead and write a new post. So I'm going to tap in the upper right corner here, and I could compose a post. And again, my workflow is usually to use, I can open it up, my Notes app here. And let's see. Yeah, I don't want to mess. I've been reading some political stuff that's kind of gotten me down a little bit. So let's try to keep it light here tonight. Oh, jeez, I've got too much. Whatever. There you go. Look at this. A $1 billion donation provides free tuition at the Bronx Medical School. So I think I've already shared this, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and copy that image, and I'm going to flip over here to Mastodon. Now, I could go ahead and paste that in, and that's fine. But check this out. When I choose to put in a picture and I do a photo library, I guess I'll post this, but I'll delete this because this is going to be nonsensical. Here's what we had for dinner tonight. Okay. I made these jalapeno poppers with bacon. Those look great. Alt tags are important because for folks with visual disabilities or folks who are blind, they have not been able to use, technology hasn't been great to just figure out, oh, that's a picture of, jalapeno poppers. When I tap Alt inside Ice Cubes, look at this. I can click Generate Description, and it does a remarkable job of generating a pretty accurate description of what is in that picture. So this has meant I am adding alt tags to the pictures that I put on Mastodon a lot more. I pretty much never used to do this, and now I do it quite a bit, okay? I'm not going to post that because that's not a picture that goes with it. But that is my favorite app. I'm using this all the time. This is the app called Ice Cubes. Now, I also have this app called Mammoth. And the feature that I really like about this one, I've used 3 different apps, I think heavily on the iPhone for Mastodon. You can use the web version too if you want to. And I don't know why it's taking so long, so let me quit it. I haven't launched it for a while, actually. The reason I like this one, there you go, so much, is because of the lists. So check this out. I can come in here to manage feeds, and they have curated feeds that other people manage as well as my own. So here's the good old Yoda's list that I have, but then I've also got world news, I've got a nature, I've got tech research, and so I can come up here to my lists and I can scroll through these and look, here's world news. So this is a list that the owners or the creators of this app are actually curating, and it's a way of being able to access other people's lists. So here's my media literacy list. I hope, and if Ryan figures this out or anybody else watching this would love to know, how can I share a specific list like I used to do with Twitter. But the other way this is powerful has to do with Flipboard. Okay, so these are my main news apps that I'm kind of going to at a regular, on a regular basis. And when I go over here to Flipboard and I go to my feeds, check it out. This is my media literacy feed from Mastodon that I'm viewing in Flipboard. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this. Hey, let's check out some birds. We'll keep it light. Keep it happy tonight. I just love this. I love Flipboard. I love the fact that they've embraced the Fediverse, and I think that is absolutely spectacular. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. And is there, Julie, if you've got any questions you want to put into the chat, or Ryan, if you want to interrupt. I think I started a little bit after the top of the hour. But if there's any questions that you all want to ask, or other things that you would want to kind of point out about Mastodon, I don't know if I have given it its due justice as far as the platform and tool that it is. I am using, like I said, multiple tools. I'm on Blue Sky and I'm on Threads, which are similar to Twitter. Ryan, what's been your experience? Are you where is Mastodon in your social media?
I've been jumping back and forth. I'll get really active in it. You know how it is. For a couple days, I'll be really active, and then life gets in the way, and then I'll forget about it for 2 weeks, and then I'll come back to it. There's sometimes that I just want to share just a little short something, and that's where it comes in really handy. But the Mastodon, it's so open. I think we're just right at the beginning of what it'll end up actually being.
Yeah. Well, I will add, and I don't have the link in there right now, but I'll add the link in the on that page to a really amazing podcast. And gosh, maybe I can find it, but he is the co-founder of Flipboard. Back in, I don't know what year, but it's been over 10 years. I had a chance at ISTE to go to one of these, evening dinners, and it was the Flipboard team getting input for their product. And so I actually think Miguel Gulen down in San Antonio maybe ran into them, but I got to connect with them, and it seems like, yeah, they were piloting some early features, but his description, he has different guests on his show, and unfortunately I don't think I'm going to be able to I need to go to my listening history to be able to view that, and I don't know if I'll be able to. But it really is awesome to get this backdrop about the Fediverse and how some developers believe that through the Fediverse, they are creating the web that we deserve and that we really need instead of the one that we've got, which is basically the one that is highly controlled by centralized social media companies and very advertisement driven. And so that to me is super exciting. I'm not going to find that one, but this platform, I'm liking it a lot. You can just have a regular Zoom account with like 100 people to do a regular call with, but it allows you to have up to 40 minutes. So I think you can start 10 minutes early. So anyway, we may have just gone over 30 minutes. So Julie, if you've got any questions that you'd like to?
She asked about missing TweetDeck.
Okay.
You can kind of do it. I was trying to think if there was a client that emulated TweetDeck, but
not really. And for people who aren't aware, TweetDeck kind of let you set up this whole dashboard of feeds that you wanted. And so I would have full confidence that somebody is going to be able to create a TweetDeck clone because of the open nature and how these APIs and whatever are able to be accessed by whoever would like to. So that and who knows, with ChatGPT, coming soon to a screen near you, courtesy of Ryan Collins or Wes Fryer. You could probably not, but it is amazing to me what we're able to do coding wise with AI. And so I think that sort of interface is something that a lot of people definitely enjoyed about using Twitter, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see something like that as well. Okay.
And I usually use elk.zone.
And what is that?
It's another client.
And it's called Elk?
Elk.zone, yeah.
Okay. Now, what was the one you sent me the other day? Was that
I was just looking that up because that one I play around with.
Huh.
Yeah, that's it.
Elk
It looks most like, and you've used it because you're already signed in.
Okay, I guess
It
so.
looks most like Twitter.
There you go. All right. Yes, the sign of a true early adopter. Well, and that is something else that's just really, I would say, refreshing and invigorating about Mastodon is the openness, right? There are lots of sides to openness, but there's so much positive, and in this world of vitriol and polarization and dumpster fire, social media and whatever, it's just really awesome to use a platform with developers that are so optimistic and that are really working to sort of invent a better future with social media, and it really gives me hope. So I guess the thought I might close with is, I don't personally think we're going to have another Twitter experience in certainly the near term, and I think it's probably good, where like everyone's there. And I really miss being able to like directly message, or not DM, but like, at message the author of the book I'm reading, or a journalist who wrote an article. And sometimes they write back, that is really a powerful thing. But what Mastodon does allow us to do, and these other platforms to limiting degrees, depending on who's on them, it allows us to hang out with people's ideas, right? And see what they're sharing, and the serendipity. There's an intentional serendipity to this, because when you followed folks and maybe you've curated a list or whatever, it's kind of an accident that, oh my gosh, look at what Ryan just shared. But not really, because I've followed and I've maybe put in a list and I've sort of, shaped my information radar screen to increase the probability that I'm going to bump into some ideas that Ryan sharing or Julie sharing or somebody else. And so anyway, thank you all for coming. If you've got suggestions for other webinar topics, these are just sort of quick hit things. And like I said, I might end up, well, what my wife says I've got to do is just focus on writing my books and not being distracted. But I think some of these are going to be complementing writings that I'm doing and chapters in books. But I really, just like at Ed Camps, we used to have folks do a Twitter 101 and introduce, new teachers or teachers that hadn't used Twitter before. I would love for us to find ways to be able to share Mastodon specifically, but other social media platforms, because there really are some wonderful opportunities that we have to intersect with some powerful ideas and, to be able to network and, maybe change the world, but certainly change our own lives as far as our learning and the kinds of, tools that we use, the articles that we read, the resources that we have, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for jumping in as the panelist impromptu.
No problem.
All right. We hope to see you again. Usually I'm doing these on Thursdays, but we have our state ed tech conference Thursday and Friday, and I'm like a bear in hibernation. I haven't done any for a while, and I'm doing like 5 sessions on Thursday and Friday.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty fired up, but normally it'll be Thursdays, but would love to have you back. And Julie, hope all's
Watching.
all right. Julie, hope all's well in Oklahoma, and we'll catch you all later. Thanks. Bye-bye.